Hello, Dan here, the car guy in a bow tie. Here today to give you a brief history on my favorite classification of vehicles, the hot hatch. So the hot hatch, there's a lot of debate about exactly when it started, but in general, people think that it's down to a man called John Cooper. The year 1961, he took a standard Mini and he boosted its power output from 34 brake horsepower to 55. This was much loved by Mini fans everywhere. It meant that you could have a small, practical vehicle that was nippy, it was fast, it was agile, it was fun in the corners. Now, the only reason that purists don't consider this the first instance of a hot hatch is because it wasn't actually a hatchback. The trunk just folded down, it was a little compartment at the back. So technically not a hatchback, although it did inspire the whole category of vehicles with its nice short wheelbase, fun to drive maneuverability. It wasn't until 1973 that the Simca 1100 came out with the first real hot hatch, although by today's standards, really it was more of a tepid hatch. The 1980s is when things got really exciting. A little French company called Renault, who were famed for their Renault 5 Alpine at the time, decided to give it a bit of a boost. They put a turbocharger in it. This was the first time that anyone had thought to do such a thing to such a tiny vehicle. But you know what? The results were fantastic. It meant that you could keep a lightweight vehicle, you didn't have to increase the engine size, but you could really get the most power out of it. That is something that progressed throughout the 80s, where we saw some brilliant hot hatches out there. They got louder with flared wheel arches, big wings off the back and everything like that. Since the early 2000s, the hot hatch market has got fiercely competitive. Hyundai decided to put out their own stab at the category in 2011, and it was very well received. The 200 brake horsepower Veloster Turbo was everything that car enthusiasts were looking for. Agile, maneuverable, nice aggressive looks, loud colors, and it makes a great noise when you drive it. A lot of fun was had of these vehicles, where they were producing them right up until today. The 2020 models are even better, loaded with lots of features that you'd look for in a modern vehicle, as well as having that fun to drive maneuverability. Now, an interesting thing happened in 2017. Veloster's N Racing division got a new head. A gentleman by the name of Thomas Shimera transferred from BMW's famed M Racing division and became part of Hyundai's N Racing division. Now, this is when the fun really started. He took a look at the Veloster and said, yeah, I like it, but you know what? Maybe we can do this better. And voila! Wow! It looks like this, and it sounds like this. Hyundai, you have outdone yourself with this one. With the Veloster N, you've got a 2-litre turbocharged engine putting out 275 brake horsepower. In a lightweight, short wheelbase hatchback, that is more than enough juice. And better than that is the way that it feels on the road. They've added an electronically controlled limited slip differential, electronically controlled suspension. For you car buffs out there, that means a lot. For those that aren't car buffs, it means that the thing is on rails. You turn the wheel, it's going in that direction. There's no two doubts about it. And don't worry, just because it was developed on the Nürburgring by racing experts doesn't mean that they've forgotten about the creature comforts. Inside, you'll find a lot of the mod cons that we'd love to find in our vehicles. So it's something that you can use as a practical day-to-day driver, as well as a car for the track as well. So this really is a track car that's just as comfortable on the track as on the roads around town as well. Some nice things: cruise control, heated seats, heated steering wheel, backup camera, Bluetooth connection, all the sorts of assistance that you'd expect from a modern vehicle. But on top of that, it's got this really interesting custom feature in N mode. So I can just select custom on the screen here, and then I've got options where I can change the engine output, the rev matching, everything down to the exhaust sound and the actual way that the car drives with the chassis, the steering and everything like that. You can go from sport mode, sport plus, and everything like that. So if you're in a quiet suburban neighborhood late at night, maybe you want to drop the exhaust note down a little bit, you can do that. It's a very usable, practical car at the same time as being a real thoroughbred race car. The Veloster N, fantastic. We sell cars. Huh. G-force meter. That's cool.